What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out.
Hey.
Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away. Burn away, we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play.
Wonder how all the Q-tards are going to tell their followers about this. Like, why didn't he announce the arrest of everybody? Where's the tribunals? Where's Nasara Gassara?
And we feel betrayed.
I'm alright.
We were raised to lose.
Doing alright, I guess.
Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play.
I'm missing one of my vapes. I don't know what that happened. Oh, that was a good time with the time. I like getting that. Here we go.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Oh, welcome everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confession. Thank you for joining us. What's happening? Everybody got an election hangover? We're there.
PR_you betcha just resubscribed for 28 months.
Thank you very much for the resubscription. I appreciate that. It seems like we called it kind of earlier last night when we ended it, but it seemed like Trump was going to win. It seems like there's been a concession. Judging by the numbers, there is a shit ton of people that just didn't vote, which Mariah, I always think Mariah is kind of like the general population. Like when I look at people, like obviously I'm weird. Like I'm not the average American, but you know, Mariah didn't want to vote. After the last one, she's like, I'm so fucking done with it. I don't want to vote anymore. And it was the first election she voted in and she didn't want to vote anymore. She was just done. Right. She ended up voting just out of convenience because we were all already there and she had her ID with her, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't want to vote again, which I thought was interesting. And it seems like a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people felt like they weren't coming out to vote. Like they didn't want to vote. Like they were just done with the whole process of everything. So there you go. It's the both Trump. So Kamala Harris seemed to outperform Biden in a lot of areas, but had way less total votes. Trump had less votes than he had in 2020 or 2016, which was very weird. I don't know. They'll be breaking down the demographics and the voter turnout and who this, that. Latino men voted for Trump even after his deportation, his stuff like that, like the Puerto Rico is trash. It seemed like Latino men voted like 60% for Trump, which is a weird margin. Of course, black women, black men, Kamala Harris. It was, I don't know. It was a big deal. So we'll see. Anyways, here's your first video of the night.
Well, here we go again. Ugh, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but you're not going to catch me whining or crying or, saying it was unfair that people cheated because I'm not a goddamn baby, all right? And I can accept even the most uncomfortable of realities, unlike a lot of people in this country, okay? Listen, y'all got...
I found it hilarious. As soon as he said this, what I thought about, I found it hilarious that the same people that sat in so it's people that like hate Phil, but also fucking worship Trump. Like Trump can do no wrong. They're like, la, 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 can't hear you. What about Epstein? Can't hear you. They're like, they've spent all this time saying, fuck Joe Biden, not my president. He'll never be my president. He might be your president, he'll never be my. And now their answer today is like, Donald Trump's your president. He's your president. Nothing you can do about it. I don't even think they know hypocrisy.
Got what you wanted. All right. I hope you know, though. I hope you understand. People are going to die. A lot of people. Ukrainians are going to die. Palestinians are going to die. Women, trans people, trans kids, immigrants, both documented and not poor people are going to die. A lot of people are going to die as a result of this. Not only that, the Project 2025 is fully on the table now. Our institutions have never been more threatened. The Supreme Court's going to become even further solidified as the nightmare repression tribunal it already is. RFK Jr. is going to outlaw 5G, and Dana White's going to be the goddamn Secretary of Education. So, hey, at least eggs will be cheap, right?
God damn it. I hope. Like, I hate that they're taking us backwards in telecommunication infrastructure. And fucking RFK wants to ban 5G. What the fuck? The whole world has 5G.
Except, oh, wait. No, they very won't, because that's not how any of this actually works. Your boy's going to round up all the egg workers. You think that's going to help grocery prices? Come on, man. I mean, the only reason things are as expensive as they are in the first place is because Big Egg and the rest of corporate America realized that they could hike up the prices and people would still be able to pay it on account of Joe Biden's economy has actually been rocking pretty hard. Jesus Christ. I hate everything. But it's not just that. It's not just the kitchen table stuff, the egg price stuff. The other undeniable, inescapable, and truly unfortunate fact here is that this country is just straight up not going to vote for a woman for president. They're just not anytime soon anyway. I mean, evidently, even a man as demonstrably dim-witted and outwardly vile as Donald Trump is still preferable to even the most competent of women just because he is a man. Ain't that America? Now, another factor here is we all know there's plenty of people in this country who would gladly burn democracy to the ground just as long as libs get owned in the process, right? And who knows? They very well may have done so. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the only thing we can hope for now is that these people continue to be as fundamentally incompetent and dysfunctional as they historically have been, and therefore some of their more destructive plans will not come to pass. And also, if our lovely fellow Americans actually get what they voted for in the coming years, then things are going to get pretty catastrophic. And if they do, maybe 4 years from now, this fickle, shuddering empire of ours will once again turn to a Democrat to clean up a Republican's mess, as it has so often done in the past. That's about as positive as I can be today. But one thing I damn sure do know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep running my mouth till they throw me in the gulag, all right? Y'all, we're all still here. This is still our country, too. They've not wrested it away from us entirely just yet. All right, keep your heads up. The fight continues. Love y'all.
It seems like there's even more stuff to do now, right? Because you're going to have to stand up. You got to make sure your voice is heard. the sad part is like the last couple years of Trump, right? We had guardrails set up, right? We had people around him that when he had a crazy idea, they're like, no, we're not doing that. Or when he tried to do something unconstitutional, we had the Supreme Court. We had Democratic control of one side of Congress. Now he's going to go into the supermajority with this implementation of fire anybody that doesn't agree with him politically, appoint only yes men, right? He's already ran off the people that would stand up to him and stop him. He's not going to hire any of those people again, right? It seems like we've got to depend on Republicans in Congress to be the guardrails for democracy when he comes up with something off the fucking wall, right? When he wants to suspend the Constitution because he thinks somebody cheated against him, right? When he wants to do something wild, we have to depend on Republicans in Congress to be they're the last line of defense. If they don't vote in line with him, potentially they could stop him, and that's outside of the scope of executive orders, right? What can he complete? What can he complete just with executive orders? So there you go. What is this? David Pagman? Hold on. Let me go see this. I was watching Destiny stream over there. Yeah, I think usually it kind of rectifies itself. We don't typically get a midterm and a presidential election that go the same way, so it seems like some other stuff will come on. I'm seeing a video listed over here. What is this video? Did he rename it potentially? Oh, no, from 8 hours ago. Oh, here it is.
I'm going to tell you something that is terrifying me. I always try to come here and put a positive face on everything, but there is something going on that is terrifying me. When I woke up this morning, we had lost 5,000 YouTube subscribers compared to where we were last night. Now, the first thing
One, that could be a purge. Two, I don't think they should ever... I know it's like talking trash or they'd say it's remaining positive or what they truly believe. I don't think it's ever a good idea to predict the election like a lot of these channels have, like it's a lock, right? There's no chance Trump wins. Like, we're 100% winning, and we're doing this, and we're doing that. Like, I don't know. People ask me, and I was like, I think Kamala will win. It'll be super close. Trump will, go through lawfare route. But I didn't know. But I've seen a lot of channels presented as, there's no way we're losing this. There's no way people can still be voting for him. There's no way they're going to do this. Like, I don't think that's a good way to present it to your audience. They feel like you fucked them over somehow when you've spent months lying to them like that, basically.
I thought was, is this a glitch? We've been on YouTube for 15 years or something like that, and subscribers always just go up. They just never go down. They go up. Is something wrong with my channel? Is someone attacking my channel? What's going on? So I started texting, and I texted Brian Tyler Cohen, and I texted Tyler Cohen, and Brian Tyler, all of them. I texted all of them. I texted Jesse Dollemore. I texted Luke Beasley and Farron Cousins and Sam Cedar. And every single one of our channels since last night is hemorrhaging subscribers. What is it that is going on? Here is a graphic. As you can see, subscribers just go up, 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 and they are down. It is not just YouTube subscribers. We are seeing record cancellations of paid memberships. Record cancellations. These are the people that keep the show running.
So what he's going to say is like, people are checking out, or people are upset, or people won't see what Trump's actually doing. So it's going to get worse. There's going to be, we need these people engaged. But when he starts talking about paid subscribers and his regular subscribers, his paid it seems like he's panicking because he's losing money, right? It's hard to make the argument like this is about getting what Donald Trump's going to do and the news to you in a timely fashion. And it sounds more like, hey, people are unsubscribing and I want my money.
Now, for a moment, I thought, if it's just YouTube, maybe YouTube is purging people who are inactive subscribers. And once a year, usually YouTube does this and you see a little decline and then numbers go back up. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. And if that were the case, we wouldn't be seeing paid membership cancellations on the website. So now I understand what is going on. It's terrifying, but it is happening. A lot of people are checking out. I heard anecdotally from a couple dozen people who said, you know, David, I just can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. I'm checking out. I'm out. And
by the way, how long has Trump been president-elect? Because he had 24 hours to end the war in Russia or the war in Ukraine. So is anybody keeping a clock going or?
And the reason that this is terrifying, not only because it puts everybody in left-wing media's livelihoods at stake and at risk, it terrifies me because our instinct is the opposite of what the right does, and we will get crushed if this is the way we respond to a defeat. The right wants us not to exist. The right wants to decimate independent progressive media. And so when I lose 5,000 subscribers and Brian loses thousands and Ring of Fire loses thousands and everybody's losing thousands of subscribers, understand that when the right loses, they get organized, they fund, and they create insanely effective organizations like Turning Point USA, investing in the Daily Wire and building out this huge network of right-wing ideas and influencers. So if you're feeling burnt out, I encourage you, take a break until the inauguration. It's months, okay? Mental health break, do it. But when we start canceling the subscriptions, we are in an algorithmic desubscription spiral right now, because when people start unsubscribing on YouTube, YouTube thinks, oh, we probably shouldn't recommend this content because it's generating a lot of unsubscribes. So then the content doesn't get recommended. And then the message doesn't get out. And the next election, they win by even more.
By the way, I think the people you should be unsubscribing from are the left content creators who told you not to vote for Kamala because of the issue in Palestine. Do you think Trump is going to be better for Palestine? His statements around there is like, you got to finish what you start. You got to mop up over there. You got to take them off the map. What? You think Trump's going to be better? You fucking retards.
So I do understand the instinct, but if we cede ground to them, they crush us everywhere. Now, we're up against a MAGA Supreme Court potentially till 2050. We'll talk about that later. We're up against a completely uninhibited Trump. I actually have an entire chapter in my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine, about exactly this. It's the introduction. In the introduction, I explain how it's disgusting to me that when you engage in politics, you can't just find solutions. First, you've got to convince people climate change is even happening. You can't just find solutions because half the country doesn't even accept the science of vaccines. I outline this in the introduction. But I also make the point in the book that if you actually care about the world for ourselves, children, grandchildren, other people, families, friends, people we care about, when you disengage because they've gotten so extreme, you cede ground to them and you say, do whatever you want. I'm disengaging, do whatever you want. And we really can't do that, okay? So my request to you today is, please resubscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't watch the clips for months if they're not doing anything for you, okay? But all of a sudden, in 12, 14 hours, the entire progressive media ecosystem is under a threat I have never seen before. We've never seen anything like this. Consider, this is the moment where we have to support independent progressive media. If it's not my show, that's fine. Okay, there's plenty of shows you can support. Consider getting a membership. Consider it. We have a code. The new coupon code is not again. All one word, not again. It really represents the dread that we are all feeling. Consider getting a membership. If you want to understand what happened, I outline it in the book, The Echo Machine. Please pre-order the book.
Do you think people just said that they were going to go vote, or just because there were some places where they were setting record numbers of registrations, right? And then record low turnout for as far as like the last two elections.
There is the assumption you can't have a successful independent nonfiction book unless you have like CNN or MSNBC behind you. I want to prove that wrong. This book will also explain what it is that we are dealing with and how you defend against it historically. Here is the last thing I will say on this, and then we'll take a break and get to some other things. There has never been a movement that succeeded when they exited activism after a loss. No movement has succeeded when they take a loss and they go, I'm out. Never happened. And on the other hand, if you look at the advances and victories of the progressive era, the advances and victories of the New Deal era,
I wonder how many, even if it's just one, it's fucking sad that some of these people voted for Trump that have daughters, and what's going to happen when they have a miscarriage and bleed out in the fucking hospital parking lot.
Advances and victories of the civil rights era, they've all come after setbacks. They've all come after setbacks. So that's my plea. We are very worried. I would love to sugarcoat it, but we have never seen numbers like this, ever. Numbers this bad. Consider it. Do what you feel is right. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
I want to see this. Why Trump won? Let's see.
All right, I would normally say something about sign up for membership here. Given what's taking place over the last 12 hours, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to address that a little bit later.
God, he's in a panic about these memberships, ain't he?
There are starting to be lists of explanations circulated as to why Kamala Harris lost the presidential election and all of the things that she did wrong. The blame game has started. And one of the most important things I think has to happen is that if you are going to solve a problem, it must be diagnosed correctly. It must be
They're
diagnosed
so upset about abortions passing.
correctly. If you have a cut on a finger and it's diagnosed as a headache rather than a cut, and you take headache medication for the cut on your finger, the cut on your finger isn't going to get any better. You need a Band-Aid, maybe a little antibiotic cream. And so we have to start from a place where we say, what happened here and what didn't happen? One of the claims that is now being floated about is that Tim Walz
I would unsubscribe from your membership just for that mustache, bro.
was the wrong running mate for Kamala Harris, and that if Josh Shapiro had been selected, he would have carried the blue wall states. Harris would have won Pennsylvania, and she would have won Michigan, and she would have won Wisconsin, and so on and so forth. We have absolutely no evidence of that whatsoever. And in fact, there are real reasons to wonder whether choosing a Jewish running mate in Josh Shapiro, combined with Kamala Harris being a woman and half black and half Indian, I don't know that that would have been any better. In fact, maybe it would have been better in some parts, but it would have been worse in others. And to assume that the reason Kamala Harris lost is because she selected Tim Walz, when Tim Walz's favorability was off the charts and J.D. Vance's favorability was in the toilet, does not seem like the right blame game to play.
I don't think the VP has that big a deal. I mean, it might just home state advantage, maybe, but J.D. Vance is the worst VP pick I've ever seen in my life.
Secondly, is the claim that Kamala Harris didn't explain or stake out her positions clearly enough. Well, maybe there is something to people didn't necessarily know what her positions were on certain issues, but I would argue to a great degree that's because it wasn't really a referendum on that. This was a referendum on, to some degree, identity. Do I want the wannabe dictator, convicted felon, white dude, or do I want the black woman? And unfortunately, in this country, a lot of people didn't want the black woman, who, as usual, had to fend off allegations of Marxism and communism and socialism. Should she, as a general principle,
And even being black, she had to defend that she was actually black.
have focused more on policy, I, as an individual, say yes. I don't know that at the national level, that is what would have made a difference. Third,
It's not policy. Trump has no policies, right? It's I don't know, charisma, making up talking points, drill, baby, drill. I think the biggest thing was the economy, and she's always polled worse in who can handle the economy better. When they do the polls, and they say who's best for the economy, they always say Trump, because he's got this fake persona around him of a successful businessman. But if you look 2 minutes into him being a successful businessman or being good for the economy,
the focus on Trump's a fascist failed Kamala Harris. People want to look forward. Harris talking about a fascist Trump was looking backwards. I don't know that I buy that talking about fascist Trump is looking backwards, because Trump is saying he wants to be the future. And talking about whether you want the future to be a fascist future or not seems completely relevant. The problem is that there is far more of an association with communist, socialist, Marxist, which were the labels thrown at Kamala Harris. That's way more effective than saying, oh, Trump's a fascist, or he wants to be a fascist, etc. So I struggle to
the fact that you say long live anybody and that's a chant for a fucking monarch
believe that
tells us all we need to know.
There is the claim that too many cooks in the kitchen in Harris's campaign muddled the campaign messaging, where it was joy, but it's also Trump's a fascist, but it's here's my economic policy, and it's we're going forward, not back. I don't think that that is unique to this campaign, but it is true that Trump essentially ran on everything's terrible and I'm going to fix it, even if that's not true. I'm going to deport a ton of people, and a lot of this country like that. Men and women's sports are a real problem, and there are contingents in critical states that resonated with, even if it's not showing up anywhere as a major issue overall. And that certainly may be a factor. And finally, another element of blame that's being put forward is that Kamala Harris's team focused too much on setting up for a legal battle, assuming it would be way closer than it was. Trump ended up blowing her out in Florida, the Pennsylvania, Arizona. You know, we look at all these.
Long live is the chant for a fucking king or a queen.
Arizona yet. Nevada, a lot of these were nowhere near as close as they were in the past. And therefore, all of the effort going into preparing for the legal battle was for nothing. It should have gone into campaigning. That may be true, although that is one of those sort of 2020 situations. I don't think a single one of the...
Okay, let me ask you a question, chat. This has been a non-debate for me because I feel like I know the answer immediately, instinctively. when you know someone's from an Asian country and you tell them to shut up, worry about their own country, then they respond and you say, go eat some rice or something. Go eat some rice or something. That's racist, right? Like, and then when someone says that's racist and you're like, I thought it was a funny joke. You tell black people to go eat watermelon and chicken or something. But what if the person worked with an Asian person for years? Does that take the racism out of it?
The blames that I just outlined for you really explains what made sense here. What took
There was, so people are saying she's the wrong candidate. Biden dropped out so late. There was no real good. What were they supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? Go all the way to a contested convention and then have a battle at the convention. Like they really didn't have a whole lot of options. If Biden wasn't going to run, he should have dropped out earlier.
Make sense of what took place here. To me, what happened is actually far simpler, and it's going to come off as far more offensive than these explanations, but I think it is far more accurate. Number one, millions of Americans, quite literally, have no idea what's going on. And I know that it's sort of like, oh, David, are you doing the Republicans are stupid thing again? Listen, there's plenty of uninformed Democrats. There's uninformed independents.
When Biden dropped out, everybody said it was way too late. He should have dropped out earlier. You can make the case he should have stayed in, but he should have dropped out the fucking earlier.
But there is a degree to which millions of these Trump voters have literally no idea what's going on. At a recent rally, a bunch of young white men, Trump voters, were asked, why are you voting for Trump? And they said, because gas prices are so high. The truth is that gas prices...
I think that this shows us that you have to like you can't talk about the economy or how tariffs really fucking work or how energy independence work or the nuance with supporting Ukraine because of the threat that Russia faces to the rest of you have to say stupid shit like gas prices too high. Can you believe that? I'm going to make them so low. Energy. What specific policy would you pass for daycare for working adults? Daycare is daycare. And I'm talking about big numbers here. And the bigger the number, the bigger the daycare.
Are at their lowest post-pandemic point, tied with a bunch of post-pandemic lows. That is just the truth. So saying I'm voting for Trump because of high gas prices.
I don't know. I don't know that the fact that they want to elect a black woman. You think they'll elect a homosexual man?
When gas prices are low, you are simply clueless, and Trump benefits from the clueless vote. Same thing with inflation. Oh, inflation's so high. Inflation has come down dramatically under Joe Biden, and in fact, it's come down faster than in other Western developed nations. So that's one thing.
Right. They can't understand. Someone on social media told them that FEMA gives out loans, and if you it's a secret loan where they don't even tell you that it's a loan, and if you don't pay it back, they come and take all your land. So they had people refusing help from FEMA because they were afraid they would lose their land for $700.
People are just completely clueless about what's going on. Number two, Trump made a play on men with a particular perspective on masculinity. Now, as many of you know, we did a piece on it. Many of you also know I've been recommending that you check out some of Scott Galloway's recent monologues and discussions of masculinity, of a more logical approach to masculinity. Trump made the play for men. He won men, and he is deliberately and overtly trying to appeal to a certain type of man, going on the Rogan show, going on the Milk Boys, the Nelk Boys, whatever they call themselves, bringing in RFK, who I believe is known that he's a steroid guy. I thought it was known anyway, sort of bolstering this idea.
Clearly he's on steroids. Have you seen him working out in his blue jeans?
Of the roid raging type aggressive man and saying, welcome and come on in and you can be more like that if you vote for me. That worked. And as great as Tim Walz is, he can fix cars and trucks and he hunts and he knows football. It was not enough to counteract what was an appealing message to white men from Donald Trump. And then third, and here's, it hurts to say it, millions of people liked what Trump was genuinely offering. Trump was genuinely offering the opportunity of a feeble, cognitively declining, wannabe dictator authoritarian who promised mass deportations. They preferred that over the black woman Democrat, period. Period. Full stop. They preferred it. This isn't a narrow electoral win. Trump won the popular vote as of right now. So the blame game is useful if you're accurately diagnosing the problem. I don't believe it's accurately being diagnosed based on what I just told you as far as the talking points. I think my 3 talking points more accurately reflect what's happening. Now, I want to hear from you on this, because if we're going to move forward, we need to understand what happened. Not everybody may be ready for that, but when we are, we have to discuss it.
Donald J. Trump will be the 47th president of the United States of America following a decisive victory last night in the
I haven't seen Philip DeFranco in
Also,
forever.
we'll have a Republican Senate in his corner, and we will know relatively soon if he will have a Republican House. So today, let's talk about what happened, how, why, and what's next, especially amid the wildly different reactions to the news that we're seeing. And for good measure, we're going to hit on how all this connects to the numerous ballot measures we saw across the country. And so to start, I'll say last night, Donald Trump's victory was historic. 4 years after being voted out of office, Donald Trump became the second president to ever win non-consecutive terms, and he's actually the first ever felon to be elected to the presidency. And this is we wait for all of the votes to get tallied, because he may have actually also won the popular vote, which if his individual vote count holds, it will be the first time in 2 decades the Republicans won the popular vote. And last night, pretty early on, things were already not looking hot for Harris. Right? It started with the little things. Like we talked about in the past, Virginia was a key state to look at. As well, she was always expected to win there. It was very important to see, is her lead something closer to Hillary Clinton or Biden? And unfortunately for her, it was Clinton numbers. We also saw things like in Iowa where pollster Ann Selzer just kind of got slapped around. She's been considered one of the top pollsters in the country.
So she has one of the most accurate polling records that there is, and she was off by 17 points this year.
Who is, or at least was, famous for her accuracy, was before the election making the shocking prediction that Harris would beat Trump by 3%. But Trump, he ended up actually beating Harris by more than 13% with almost all the votes counted as of recording, which was just so enormously off that Selzer's now saying that she's reviewing the data to see where she went wrong. And so based off of those, along with a few other bellwethers, it was not surprising to see Trump absolutely dominate in the battleground states. The kind of final nail in the coffin being when the AP called Pennsylvania for Trump about an hour and a half after it called Georgia for him. So after that, he only needed 3 more electoral votes to win. And then he got more than that when the AP called Wisconsin for him early this morning. With Trump then knocking down that final chunk of the blue wall and successfully flipping Michigan. And this is technically the 2 remaining swing states, Arizona and Nevada, as I'm filming. They haven't been called yet. But that's really more about saying the final electoral count and whatever the popular vote is. And so with this, as far as why, well, yes, in the coming days and weeks and for however long, people are going to be playing the blame game, pointing fingers while writing and filming retrospectives. I mean, if we just look at the data and we keep it simple, Trump increased his margins from 2020 to 2024 in pretty much every way he could. And we're talking red states and blue states. New York moved 13 points towards him. You look at all these demographics, almost everything
But way less votes.
a right-wing shift. With these results coming in, there's definitely been a lot of focus on the Latino vote as well as the young vote. And this is exit polls showed that if people voted,
I was hoping for Ivanka or Melania that Trump would lose so she could get out of her contract earlier.
Republican, the issues that mattered most in deciding how they voted for a president was the economy and immigration. But then, with all that, we saw Trump speaking to a crowd early this morning after his victory became clear.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's ever been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
And from there, in addition to thanking the American people, he went on to acknowledge some of his most high-profile allies, complimenting and congratulating J.D. Vance.
And he's a feisty guy, isn't he? I've said, go into the enemy camp. And the enemy camp is certain networks. And a lot of people don't like to, sir, do I have to do?
I swear, like, if you want to reach the people that are voting for Trump, you've got to dumb it down. They don't want to hear numbers. They don't want to hear percentages. They don't want to hear increases. They don't want to hear a complicated problem. They want to hear you say the problem and say a solution they can understand. Gas prices too high, drill. Daycare, we got money. Right? The war in Ukraine, it'll be over in 24 hours.
That he just goes, okay, which one? CNN, MSDNC?
With Vance then saying what Trump had just accomplished was
the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Trump then coming back and
The economy's already fucking taken off. You're just going to get credit for Biden's economy the same way you did Obama's economy.
top campaign advisors also shouting out Elon Musk.
A star is born, Elon.
He then spent a couple of minutes gushing about SpaceX's successful landing of its Starship rocket last month.
And it came down so gently, and then it wrapped those arms around it, and it held it, and just like you hold your baby at night, your little baby.
See, this is what wins. Just like you hold your little baby at night. Like you'd hold a 10-year-old and say, in 10 years, I'm going to be dating that 10-year-old.
And it was a beautiful thing to see, and I called Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He said, yes, it was.
Who the fuck else would it be, bro? Like, you confused with what company he owns?
I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can the United States do it other than you? No. Nobody can do that. I said, that's why I love you, Elon.
And of course, all of this is Musk's been spending time and millions of dollars trying to get Trump elected. And actually, with that, Musk's expected to have a position in Trump's administration. With Trump then thanking and giving the mic over to UFC CEO Dana White, who then himself gave shout-outs.
I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelt boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, Bustin' with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Joe Rogan.
With Trump then coming back and calling out RFK, who reportedly he's promised control of the public health agencies.
And he's going to help make...
Dude, that's terrifying. The guy that thinks he has brain worms, that chainsawed a fucking well in half, that fucking killed a bear and staged a crime scene in Central Park. Like,
got healthy again. He wants to do some things, and we're going to let him go to it. I just said, but Bobby, leave the oil to me. We have more liquid gold, oil and gas. We have more liquid gold than any country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. Bobby, stay away from the liquid gold. Other than that, go have a good time, Bobby.
And actually, on the health note part, RFK reportedly said today that entire departments within the Food and Drug Administration have to go, saying to MSNBC, in some categories, there are entire departments, like the nutrition department at the FDA, that have to go, that are not doing their job. They're not protecting our kids. And in the same interview, when RFK was asked if there...
here's the people Trump has threatened to get revenge on. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Attorney General Letitia James from New York, Manhattan Justice Arthur Engoron, Liz Cheney, she's getting a fire squad, Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, former chair of Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley, James Comey, Hunter Biden and the rest of the Biden family, FBI Special Agent Peter Strzok, Attorney Lisa Page from the FBI, Adam Schiff, Mark Zuckerberg, Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Mark Pomerantz, former Trump attorney Michael Cohen, Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd, Rep. Jamal Bowman, 51 intelligent professionals who signed the letter about the Hunter Biden laptop, members of all the members of the Jan 6 Select Committee, unspecified people who engaged in election fraud. That's his revenge list, including Politico reporters, editors, and publishers, as well as other media agencies.
If there are any vaccines he would take off the market, he replied, I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccines, and further adding that it is about choice and people making their own informed individual decisions. But then, with all that said, as far as on the other side, right, Kamala Harris, she did not release a statement last night. Instead, we learned that today she called Donald Trump to concede the election. They're reportedly congratulating him and discussing the importance of a peaceful transfer of power and being a president for all Americans. With the Trump campaign spokesperson saying that he acknowledged Vice President Harris on her strength, professionalism, and tenacity throughout the campaign, and both leaders agreed on the importance of unifying the country. With then Vice President Harris speaking to the American people today, just before we uploaded the show.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for. But hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
But they're going on to emphasize the need to accept the outcome of the election and promising to engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. We owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
They're then concluding by to continue fighting for what she believes in and encouraging her supporters.
But you can suspend that at different times, especially when you feel like it.
I concede this election. I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy. The fight for our freedom will take hard work. But like I always say, we like hard work. And the fight for our country is always worth it.
And well, in a minute, we're going to continue down this road. We're going to be talking about what is next. I got to ask, with everything we've covered so far, what are your thoughts with this news? Then, to take a quick break from the news, you know, it sucks when your doctor isn't in your network any longer. Or like me, you've moved away from your doctor. Because we all know how frustrating it is. And in there's help.com. Trail. I'm just going to limit it to two things again on app for free and find and book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil. ZocDoc.com/Phil. But then, since we know that Donald Trump will be president again on January 20th, we should talk about some changes that we're going to see in the country if he follows through on the things that he's been saying. Since he's talked about a great number of things while on the campaign trail, I'm just going to limit it to two things today, and that is tariffs and deportations. First, regarding tariffs, you have outlets like Axios noting that Trump has floated a 10% or 20% tariff on all imported goods and a 60% tariff on Chinese imports if he reclaims the White House. And while Donald Trump has held up tariffs as one of the greatest things ever.
It's I mean, like, he doesn't. I shared a video today of all the campaign promises he's fucking broke. Hold on. I just go, it's hard to believe anything he actually says. That's why I don't understand why people vote for him. There's this video.
Here's a list of campaign promises Trump made in the 2016 election that he failed to deliver on. He did not repeal and replace Obamacare with something better. He did not also tweak it to make it better. He never did appoint a special prosecutor to investigate Hillary Clinton. He promised to not take vacations, which is funny because he took almost 300 golf trips.
Why did he promise that he wouldn't be taking vacation? That's so dumb.
Costing taxpayers between 140 and 340 million bucks. He did not build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. He built part of a fence that is easily climbable. He promised to eliminate the national debt, and it actually grew from 19 trillion to over 27 trillion. He promised to remove all
To eliminate the national debt.
undocumented immigrants from this country, and he failed to do that. Coincidentally, he's promising to do that again. He failed to bring back manufacturing jobs. In fact, companies continue to outsource jobs. He promised to enact term limits, and he didn't do it. He promised to revive the coal industry, which didn't happen at all. He promised to grow the economy by
He didn't do anything for the coal industry.
4% per year. The closest he got was 2.9% in 2018. He promised to end the opioid crisis. Didn't happen. He promised to negotiate a better deal with Iran after tearing up the nuclear deal that we had with them. And in fact,
Now there's no deal.
Iran is closer than ever to getting a nuclear weapon. He promised a lifetime ban on White House officials lobbying for foreign governments. That didn't happen. He promised to invest $550 billion into infrastructure. He did not pull that off. Incidentally, Biden pulled off an infrastructure plan. He guaranteed 6 weeks paid leave. Didn't happen. He promised a national right to carry in all 50 states. Didn't do it. He promised to increase the Army to 540,000, and it didn't happen.
Like, it's hard to believe even the things he says, right? Like,
saying that it's going to solve a lot of the problems that people have, especially regarding costs. Reportedly, in a recent Wall Street Journal survey of 39 economists,
you have to take him serious because he's dangerous in that way. But
one expert poll approved Trump's plan to put tariffs on all imported goods. And this is, there also seems to be kind of a general misunderstanding among some regarding what tariffs do. Whereas Axios notes, Trump is right that tariffs.
But I don't think people understand how taxes work. All they know is they got more on their taxes for a couple years. That must have been Trump's fault. And then it went away. That must have been Biden's fault. I don't think they understand how taxes work. You can't cut corporate taxes and also do anything to bring down the deficit, right? You're not bringing any fucking money.
Tariffs can raise revenue for the government's imposing them. But saying he's wrong when he claims they only punish manufacturers abroad. They can also hurt U.S. companies and consumers. Right? And that because let's say you're importing something from China. China is not paying the tariff. The American is paying the tariff, with that extra added cost affecting Americans in one of several ways. One, the person importing can raise the price of the product that they're selling, which is then costing the consumer more money, and possibly the person that's selling the product gets fewer sales. They can also keep their price the same but make less profit. Or, and this appears to be Trump's thinking, they then work with an American manufacturer, or depending on what the tariffs are for specific countries, a different country than China. In this, as the Biden administration, as reports note, kept and even expanded some of Trump's tariffs. And adding, President Biden also imposed his own tariffs, for example, on Chinese electric vehicles and batteries. And those specific tariffs have been more widely seen as a way to try to limit the damage that China's trying to do to American markets. And the way that those tariffs are often explained is as a defensive move, a way to combat China from driving out U.S. competitors and dominating entire industries by setting below market prices. I think of it kind of like trying to fight off a Walmart that's going to put all the other shops around it out of business, though I guess on a global scale and as far as the mom and pop shop. Talking about U.S. industries, and it's also not that simple, right? Then you have to worry about retaliatory tariffs. And actually with all this, as far as the impact, there was a 2019 study that estimated that by the end of 2018,
yeah, by the time he leaves office, the economy will be ready to collapse.
Tariffs were costing U.S. consumers and the firms that import foreign goods an additional $3 billion per month in added tax costs. So Axios was also noting that the study found that tariffs were allowing U.S. producers to increase their prices because they face less foreign competition. So again, we're going to have to wait and see what specific things Donald Trump does after he takes over the presidency. And that also is true regarding deportations. Because according to Axios, a source familiar with Trump's plan said that if elected, Trump wants to mobilize ICE agents along with the FBI, DEA, federal prosecutors, the National Guard, and even state and local law enforcement officers to carry out deportations of undocumented immigrants. It would also be fast-track deportations, which is something that's been limited to recent border crossers. Or reportedly, it would be expanded to apply to anyone who illegally crossed the border. And
it's going to cost so much money for deportation, dude. You want to talk about the fucking deficit?
couldn't prove they'd been living in the U.S. for more than 2 years. It's also being reported that Trump would curtail the usual multi-step deportation process here by using an obscure section of the 1798 Alien and Seditions Act to immediately round up and deport migrants with criminal histories. And Axios saying connected to that, the military would build massive sites near the border to hold people awaiting deportation. All of this, if implemented, of course, would look very different state by state. In Texas, for example, Donald Trump would likely have a lot of support at the state level. The same, at least to some degree, possibly said for Florida and Georgia. And I also mentioned those three specifically is because reportedly in just those three states, there are 2.9 million undocumented immigrants. But then it's very likely you'd see a drastically different situation in a state like California. And Axios noting likely pushback in Democratic-led states with well-organized Latino advocacy groups and sanctuary cities. And then all of this, it could have economic implications, with among other things being generally understood that illegal immigrants actually, help play a role in easing inflation and helping the economy avoid a recession after the pandemic. People also pointing to how deportation can actually hurt local economies. Axios, for example, noting in 2011, for example.
For sure, there's gonna be fucking fruit and vegetables rotting on the vine.
Unpicked crops rotted in Alabama after the state passed a harsh anti-immigrant bill. However this would look or play out, it's massive news because it's believed there are around 10.5 million undocumented immigrants in the country. But for now, regarding these two things and a number of things we're going to talk in the days and weeks to come, we're going to have to wait to see what actually happens. Like what we said on the campaign trail on that road to the White House, and then what does it actually look like when the administration.
I would say we'll probably, depending on the stuff that he actually implements and how quickly he does it, we will see probably protests and riots in cities again. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be as widespread, maybe it's like BLM, but if he's probably going to go after the DACA kids again, right? The only reason he didn't get the DACA kids last time is he went once with an unfavorable Supreme Court, and it was a 4-4 split. Then he went back with a favorable Supreme Court, and it was procedural. They filed it the wrong way or some shit, and they just didn't go back. We're probably going after the DACA kids again, and that's a fucking big issue. Mass deportation's a big fucking issue. Any type of abortion ban's a big fucking issue.
Is in power. Broad strokes, the core, the nooks and cranny, all of it. And then, as promised, let's talk about ballot measures. Because while everyone was also voting for candidates or against candidates and the numerous things they represent or say they stand for, individual ballot measures show us exactly what people think on a specific topic. There's no calculus that needs to be done of, oh, I don't like this policy, but I like this one, lesser than two evils, this. So we'll start here with one of the hot button topics of this election cycle, and that is abortion. Right, and that because 10 states this year asked voters whether they should lock in abortion rights into their state constitutions. And what we saw is that in 7 of those states, the measures passed. First, there's places like Maryland, Montana, Nevada.
7 out of 10 states were able to add abortion protection to their constitution.
In New York, where abortion is already legal, and the passing of this measure is really just to ensure that it can't be messed with in the future. Then in Colorado, there are already no gestational limits, and their passing measure allows public funds to be used towards abortion, meaning that the path is now clear there for the state to potentially cover abortion under Medicaid and some state employee health insurance plans. But then you also had other states using their reproductive rights measures as ways to overturn existing abortion restrictions. Like in Missouri, which currently has a near total abortion ban with no exceptions even for cases of rape and incest. But now with their right to reproductive freedom amendment passing with 53% support, according to the AP, things are changing. With that amendment enshrining the right to make all decisions regarding reproductive health care without government interference. And with that, you had Rachel Sweet, the campaign manager of Missourians for Constitutional Freedom, adding in a statement. Today, Missourians made history and sent a clear message. Decisions around pregnancy, including abortion, birth control, and miscarriage care, are personal and private and should be left up to patients and their families, not politicians. Also, in Arizona, you had a similar story with Prop 139 passing, which secures the right to abortion until fetal viability in the state's constitution.
Sure, he may not do any of that. That's what I was saying. It's hard to even believe the things he says.
Meaning that Arizona's existing 15-week ban will be overturned. But every one of these measures did not pass. Like in Florida, for example, they had Amendment 4 that would have made clear that no law can, quote, prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability.
Trump couldn't even decide which way he voted on this.
Which key thing would have overturned the 6-week abortion ban that went into effect back in May. And while Amendment 4 did get the majority of the votes, reporting 57% support, Florida has a constitutional requirement of a 60% majority in order to pass an amendment. Which is why you had Lauren Brenzel, the campaign director for the Yes on 4 campaign, saying, the reality is because of Florida's constitution, a minority of Florida voters have decided Amendment 4 will not be adopted. The reality is a majority of Floridians just voted to end Florida's abortion ban. But then, way more decisively, in South Dakota, the AP says that 61% of voters rejected Amendment G, an amendment that would have overturned the state's current abortion ban and guaranteed the right to an abortion without restriction in the first trimester, but then also allowing abortion with escalating restrictions further into the pregnancy. But then finally, here we'll talk about Nebraska. Right, in that, because they had 2 separate reproductive rights measures on the ballot this year. One that would have legalized abortion until viability or when medically necessary, and then 2, right, the other that would enshrine the existing 12-week ban in the state's constitution, restricting abortion to the first trimester except in cases of rape, incest, or medical emergencies. And with that, if you think that it's confusing that there were dueling ballots, yeah, it led to a lot of confusion. In the lead up to the election, you had organizers for each measure accusing the other of using misleading tactics to trick voters. And in fact, this last summer, the Nebraska Secretary of State's office said they received nearly 100 affidavits from voters asking for their names to be removed from an abortion petition that they had been misled into signing. With notably, the majority of those at the time asking to have their names scrubbed from the petition supporting the 12-week ban. But then, the key thing, on election day, that's the one that got the most votes. So they're reportedly getting 53% of the vote compared to just 49% for the until viability measure. But then also regarding other ballot measures that are getting nationwide attention, we have marijuana legalization. Right now, because there were 3 states with measures on the ballot to legalize recreational marijuana, specifically Florida and both Dakotas, with no votes in the Dakotas taking it by a good margin, 53% in North Dakota and 56% in South Dakota. And then in Florida, that 60% rule claimed another victim. Amendment 3, which would legalize weed recreationally for people 21 and over, getting 56% support, not hitting the 60% threshold. And in fact, the only state that ended up passing marijuana legislation.
That's crazy that Florida has a 60% threshold. That's stupid. Right? Why would you even do a referendum if it has to be 60% instead of 50%?
Yesterday was Nebraska. The folks there passing Initiative 437 to legalize medical marijuana with 71% of the vote. And that along with Initiative 438 to establish a Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission to regulate the medical marijuana program. But then taking a quick break from the news, y'all, I know that you care about accessing free internet safely and keeping your digital life secure. Open access to block you, nor to keep
you got 2 ads in a fucking 10-minute video.
Slashville and Asheville, or is the water in Flint, Michigan, which makes sense. So then, when we think of lead poisoning in the United States, maybe we think of leaded gasoline or lead paint, but usually the worst example that comes to mind is the water in Flint, Michigan, which makes sense. It was a horrible criminal disaster that'll never be undone. But what if I were to tell you that what happened in Flint, something considered extreme for the United States, is actually the norm for much of the rest of the world? In fact, even that's too generous. For the majority of the world's children, what happened in Flint is 10 times better than what's happening to them right now. Because at the height of Flint's water crisis, 1 in 20 children there had elevated blood lead levels. But in low and as well in the U.S., cleaning up lead means students primarily unpainted tin homes, so that wasn't it. So the idea that it was poisoning people came as a shock. Before Scythe and her team, they tested turmeric powder and turmeric roots from local markets, and both contained the same amount of lead found in the pregnant woman's blood. And so then the next step was to figure out how lead...
Turmeric powder?
And so after talking with farmers, they learned that it all went back to the 1980s when a major flood fucked everything up. But all of a sudden, the turmeric roots, they wouldn't dry properly in the sun, so they turned a blackish color instead of their usual yellow. And so the farmers at the time, they did what they thought made sense. They polished their crops with the cheapest yellow pigment available at the time, lead chromium. Because at the marketplace, those brighter roots...
Holy shit.
Floodwaters receded, farmers then just kept up the practice. But it also wasn't limited to Bangladesh, right? These lead-contaminated spices, they spread across and beyond South Asia, including with India, Pakistan, and Nepal. And that being just one source of global dollars, or 7% of the entire world.
They polished their turmeric with lead-based powder. Jesus Christ.
But none of this is inevitable, and Bangladesh proved it, because in 2019, Forsyth and her Capitol to broadcast what happened next, with officials whipping out these devices that look like radar guns and scanning every vendor's turmeric for lead contamination. Hell, they even had a judge there to issue rulings right on the spot in a so-called mobile court. And so when all was said and done there, the government confiscated nearly 2,000 pounds of turmeric and they dished out tons of fines. And since then, Forsyth tells NPR that the share of turmeric samples testing positive for lead, it has dropped from 47% to 0%. I mean, it is a textbook case of an effective public health intervention that took relatively few resources to accomplish. And the thing is, we know that these results can be replicated because other countries have done it as well. Right, Georgia, the country, not the state, also had a lead poisoning crisis. It was back in 2019 and it affected some 40% of children ages 2 to 7. But then in just 2 years, researchers identified a problem. Lead chromate was being used to polish the color of spices, just like in Bangladesh. So the government intervened to clean up the supply chain, and now lead is almost completely gone from the spice market there. Or take Malawi as another example, where with just $300,000 in donor funding, the country cleaned up half the market for lead paint, and the other half is committed to phasing out lead by the end of this year. And in case after case, the formula is generally the same. You conduct national blood surveys, test consumer products for lead contamination, design regulations, and then enforce those laws and monitor producers. So given how far each dollar spent on this problem goes towards fixing it, you would also be surprised to learn how little we invest as a species. Right, according to Samantha Power, administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development, and Alexander Berger, CEO of Open Philanthropy, the yearly global funding for tackling lead poisoning in developing countries totals just $15 million, the cost of a single 67 Super Bowl. Or rather, that was the total until now, because UNICEF and USAID have announced a new $150 million initiative to combat lead poisoning in the third world, with that money being distributed across more than a dozen countries. But eventually, those funds will run out. So what really matters is that awareness of this issue snowballs until the money keeps flowing for the long term. So I guess the main point is I am just spreading the word because I am a hero. Yeah, that is a note I'm ending on. But of course, with all that said, I'd love to know your thoughts on any and all of what we talked about today. I love yo faces. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you right back.
There you go, guys. I don't know. I'd like to think that the country has guardrails and safety features and stuff in place that will help keep us. I did a TikTok video and I used the analogy like, yeah, we're in a car. Yeah, the driver's drunk, but hopefully between the guardrails and the safety features of the car or whatever, we might get some damage, but hopefully we don't drive off a cliff or cut a telephone pole in half. Instead, maybe we just hit a guardrail and a couple mailboxes on the next 4 years. We'll see what actually happens. Anyways, I didn't want to leave you all hanging tonight. I figured I'd hop on here for a few minutes and hang out. I don't know. You guys want to watch something funny instead? We'll see. Is there anything funny instead? Hopefully, somehow keep us going. We'll see. What is that? There's a woman on TikTok. Hold on. There's a woman on TikTok that is being trolled into oblivion. She's one of these weird live streamers that I show sometimes that do weird shit. And I think it's because their audience, it's got to be because their audience is kids, right? What is her name? What is her name? Her audience is definitely kids. Okay, there she is. And now she's doing her second GoFundMe to move.
Right now, I had to put a GoFundMe together to raise funds to move because my landlord asked us to move. But all the events leading up to my landlord asking us to move were out of my control. We were being to delete the last video because I accidentally posted my address. Oh, we're 6 foot kill. I need 6 foot. I'm so done. Guys, I accidentally shared my...
I gotta find her name now.
Barely right now. I had to put a GoFundMe together to raise funds to move because my landlord asked us to move. But all the events leading up to my landlord are being treated so...
Oh, shit.
Adrielle Sigler. I'm traveling today, but in the meantime, I have some friends they wanted to meet you.
You never met a motherfucker quite like me. You're not like me.
Did Austin really enlist Goose, Shell, Venom, and the General for open season on Adrielle? Oh, yes, he did.
Like you forgot, I called a shot. Like blah, blah, blah.
Adrielle Sigler, that's her name. So we'll check out some of her content. She's Vegan Riz on here. She does these weird live streams. You would just have to see them, the live stream she does. But her audience is like fucking 11 to like 15-year-old kids. It's got to be. But then on one the other night, she was in a fucking thong shaking her ass. So that pissed a lot of people off. But she's definitely doing this for the money, the clicks, the scam. She's ran like 3 GoFundMes just since she's been TikTok famous. But she is famous. She has 1 million followers, right? And she's got a GoFundMe now. Every time she moves, she starts a new GoFundMe and blames it on her trolls that she has to move. It's a $25,000 goal. All right, let's check out some of her content.
My neighbor went into a live stream tonight as a guest. He went into the live stream of an Adrielle Sigler gossip TikTok page. So it's a TikTok page that has a lot of gossip.
Like you might feel sorry for her for just a little bit, but she brought every bit of this on herself, 100%.
About me, and they host live streams where this gossip page regularly brings up guests who can speak on the live stream. And when my neighbor was in that live stream, he even confirmed.
Are you dark idiot? Dark Q idiot? Are you dark goth Q idiot?
Adrielle is not loud. She's actually pretty quiet. I never hear her, and I don't have a problem with what she does for a living. It was all of the pizzas and taxis that kept coming to the house that were...
So she accidentally put her address on social media, and people started ordering taxis to her house.
Being a celebrity is the hardest job in the world. It takes a very special...
She does videos like this that are like bait post, right? Like she wants people to come troll her.
Special, unique person to be a celebrity.
Can people wait to start a civil war until after I get my degree to become an officer? Sure.
Which is why only very few people have become famous. And I'll explain why it's so hard to be a celebrity. To become a celebrity, a person has to go through several phases, and each phase is next to impossible to come out on top from. To become a celebrity, you have to get noticed. And with that exposure, the first level is being ignored. First, they ignore you. You're no one to them. You start from ground zero. This is the phase where most people quit. This is the phase where the average human cannot pull through. They do not have the confidence. Their self-doubt sabotages them. Being unnoticed after so many failed attempts of becoming noticed destroys their self-esteem, and they give up. If they don't give up and they keep repeating until they reach a little bit more success, they'll be laughed at. And when they get noticed, maybe it's only by a small audience. Maybe they're only noticed by 10 to 20,000 people. They will get laughed at. And after so much work to get noticed, they're getting laughed at. And they can't handle being ridiculed. They can't handle being criticized. They
Oh my God, just go through your fucking list.
Hundreds of thousands of people and famous like they've
Then they fight you.
Before, causing masses of people to handle so many rumors. Laughing at them didn't work. Fighting them didn't work. They're going to keep being themselves and pushing through.
Then you win.
When they become famous. This is when they're a celebrity.
That's why people aren't famous, because it's so hard.
She's sleeping already? Daylight savings. The audacity of my mom to not answer my call because she's sleeping. I was going to ask her some questions. It was such a good video, too. Well, I'm going live after I get done blow drying my hair. And battling on TikTok. Everyone thinks my GoFundMe is a scam. So no one wants to help me move now. Because everyone who hates me, even when I'm in a binding situation, sabotages any type of help I reach out for by spreading rumors. So now the whole internet is convinced that I'm not really moving and that I was never...
She makes thousands, right? And she has 1 million followers, and all she does is live TikTok battles or whatever. It makes thousands of dollars, but she needs help to move.
Asked to move, and that's all a fucking stage gimmick. When in reality, my days are numbered. I have X amount of days, and then I have to go. And I plan to move in the next, by December. It has to be December. Well, hear me out when I say, the day I live stream and post a video in our new house, rental house, I'm gonna see who's still here by my side, who trusted me the whole fucking time, who didn't use me for some dumb-ass TikTok drama. So I'm being used for people's clout. Meanwhile, they rack in all the gifts, they get all the subscribers, they get all this money, exploiting my situation, where I did nothing wrong. My neighbors, I don't know what they said to my landlord, but whatever they said to my landlord pissed him off, so he said it's better off I move in a single-family house so I don't have neighbors who can complain about me. Ow. Anyhow, regardless.
A single family, so she must be in some type of apartment.
I'll remember who was there for me. I'm going live with my mom on the phone, and she's gonna watch my live streams. And every time I battle a guy, I'm gonna twirl my hair if I think he's cute, and I'm gonna pull my nose if he's not my type. And then my mom has to tell me if she agrees, if she thinks he's the right one for me. So Mom, the last guy I battled, hypothetically
very annoying.
Twirled my hair, would you agree?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, the guy before that, if I would have twirled my hair, do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the one from 2 nights ago? I pulled my nose. Would you agree?
I think so.
Why? I thought you liked him.
Oh, well, I didn't know if he was your type, but sure, yeah, he seemed alright.
God, her mom even sounds over it.
The definition of hate gifting is when I go live with another creator And
she said she's going to start charging other people to go live with her because people hate her so much that they donate to the other person.
Battle. And the people who hate me send gifts to the person I battle to watch me lose. That is the definition of hate gifting. Now, for a while, I encouraged people to keep hate gifting, right? Because I knew that they would lean in and want to keep doing it. Or no, I knew they would lean in and not want to do it because I was telling them to do it. I was doing like reverse psychology, so they quit doing it because I was telling them to do it. And they quit hate gifting, right? And now they started hate gifting again, and now I can't get my wins in. And I keep losing, and I'm live. Click the pink circle, you'll see. Spending hundreds of dollars a day watching me lose. It's making me go insane. Individual people, by the way. It adds up to thousands of dollars per day. Watching me lose is crazy. Paying to watch me lose is crazy. Everyone who voted for Trump, now TikTok is here to stay because TikTok won't ban, or Trump won't ban TikTok. TikTok won't get banned. So all of my haters who are like, oh, wait for TikTok to get banned, voted for Trump, and now TikTok is here to stay because Trump is going to keep TikTok. And you, all of the people who hate on me, voted for TikTok to stay when you voted for Trump. So you can't complain anymore when you scroll FYP or click the pink circle because I'm live and see Adrielle because you voted for Trump and you saved TikTok. Thank you for your service. Also, Trump is apparently not going to allow taxes on tips, which means TikTok creators won't have to pay tips on live gifts because live gifts are tips. Booyah, suckers! Now I'm live. Click the I have officially fallen off. The day is here, and I'm live right now.
God, I hate this woman so much, dude.
And Twin asked, when is your trash
She's
day?
so hateable.
Because he wants to win. He's like, we're taking out the trash. And he said, when's your trash day? All these people knew it's my garbage pickup day. Like, garbage night is one day. Trash day is the morning after you throw it. They knew my trash day. And they were like, you said it. How did I say it? When did I say it? How do you remember? That is the question. Also, yesterday was a bad day. And I'm learning today that I think all the realtors I was waiting to hear back from were taking the day off for election day. Who in America has never remembered this? Like, where everyone's just like, there's no school on election day. Everyone's off work for election day. Like, am I missing something? Is this a Mandela effect? So I actually have a lot of options right now in regards to moving, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be going live to talk to all of you about it. My video comments are off right now because there's just a lot of chaos happening.
But you got to donate so she can move.
Once I get all moved and everything is settled in, I'll turn my comments back on. I'm grateful for all of you who have been so supportive of me, who know I can get through this. Sometimes life gives you bumps in the road, and then it's our job to overcome it. I really enjoyed this apartment too. Like, I took care of it as if it were my own home. Always kept it nice and clean.
She has kids too, and she's on TikTok for fucking hours battling. I don't know what the fuck her kids do.
I've fallen off. I've lost every single battle today, and everyone hates me now. So thank you for leaving. The haters.
All right, let's do this. There's people that's made some shit with the drama that she's got going on. Let's see what this is.
Hi, I'm Penny Olivia, and I'm here tonight to recap the best moments of everyone's favorite family game, True or False, featuring Adrielle Sigler and Twinny.
True or false if you ever lied?
Yes, true.
True or false if you ever lied about anything serious?
False.
Never lied about anything serious?
No. I can't remember if I know for a fact there have been instances where I've lied. I've lied. It's usually in stupid situations that I just want to get myself out of.
I believe that, yes.
Never lied about anything serious, though.
True or false? You have doxed somebody?
False.
You never doxed anybody?
No, doxing is like putting someone's phone number and address and first and last name. I've never done any of that stupid shit.
Charmingly frugal.
How did the coffee shop discriminate against me? The coffee shop discriminated me against my job. They were actively discriminating me against my job, and I'll explain how. They said it's more than acceptable for people working to utilize their phones, cameras, take photos, videos, whatever that business person needs to do. They told me I can't take photos or videos while I'm in their coffee shop because they don't want my work associated with their business. That's discrimination. I'm in their coffee shop working on my job, the same sense a lawyer is in their coffee shop working on his job. So the fact these business owners discriminate against me doing my job, but they didn't discriminate against the lawyer sitting next to me, is discrimination. You are a business owner.
I'm sure it's a character. She's probably a completely different person.
Goes by the name Vegan Riz. And one day, the worst thing ever happens to her. She's in her favorite coffee shop, and she films there all the time. And the owners of that shop, these guys, they see this, and they approach her, and they tell her to stop filming. They don't want her filming there anymore. They don't want their business to be in the background of her TikToks. Now, she doesn't need to leave. She just can't film. And poor Vegan Riz, she does not take it well. So she leaves, and she gets in her car, and she immediately makes a TikTok.
You're not going to believe what just happened.
Now, most people would probably let it go after that. Oh, but not Vegan Riz. She goes home and makes another one.
Today, they lost one customer and made an enemy out of me.
Then she makes another one, and another one, and another one.
And another one.
And in like a day, she made over 40 TikToks about this incident. She's calling out the shop by name. She's calling out the owners, showing their picture. And the coffee shop has a TikTok account, and she's trying to stitch them.
Oh, I'd stitch them, but they either blocked me or deleted their TikTok profile.
Then she films herself trying to call them.
They're not available right now. Let me get back to you.
But she can't get through. Now, coffee shop, they make no official response at all. But Vegan Riz is still upset they asked her not to film. So what's she gonna do now?
I'm going to file a lawsuit.
So she calls an attorney.
I have a question about my legal standing.
But they don't answer.
These are
Now,
things.
what does she plan on suing the coffee shop over? Discrimination.
Since I'm an attractive woman, it bothers you, and that's sexism.
And Vegan Riz is... So this TikToker goes by the name Vegan Riz. And
Jesus Christ.
Adrielle Sigler, aka Vegan Riz. She is a very large creator on this app with almost 1 million followers. She is a stay-at-home mom, so all of her income comes from social media. There is a lot of things that have happened with Adrielle Sigler in her time here on social media, but most recently, what people are so outraged about is that back in May, Adrielle's teenage son got into a fight, and she posted a series of videos about this fight. She then created a $30,000...
Oh, this is bad. So her son got into... Her first time she moved, her son got into a fight, and she did a bunch of these TikToks saying that her son was just with these kids, and they jumped him. They jumped him, and now her son's life was in danger, and she needed to GoFundMe to move because these kids wanted to kill her son. That was her first GoFundMe to move, right? Turns out that they did go out, right? Her son was with a group of friends, some of them his, some of them not his, and a female they found out that he allegedly sexually assaulted this female, and that's when they beat his ass. They didn't get jumped. They weren't trying to kill him because who his mom was or whatever. He SA'd a girl, and that's why they beat his ass.
GoFundMe,
and she had a GoFundMe on the back of it.
Their lives were in danger and that they needed to move immediately. So Adriel posted a very short edited clip.
By the way, props to those kids for beating his ass when they found out he sexually assaulted a girl.
Of this fight, stating that her son got jumped and almost lost his life. She painted a picture as if her son was just walking home from school one day and a group of kids invited him to go eat somewhere and that they randomly jumped him. She then proceeded to share all of these children that were involved in the fights.
She shared their names, their faces, their parents, some of their addresses.
First and last names, and where one of them lived. These videos went viral, so the family members started speaking out, and they alleged that the reason that the fight happened in the first place is because Adriel's son, the girl from the video. We know this because that girl's older sister, Melanie, here on TikTok, started speaking out about this. So naturally, people were outraged about that, along with a $30,000 GoFundMe, especially since the month prior, she had just posted a video.
$30,000 GoFundMe, while she's posting clips of where she's making like $20,000 a month. She had a $30,000 GoFundMe to move to save her son from getting killed by these reckless kids.
About how much money she makes on this app and how much she spends. Now, Adriel only ended up raising, I believe, around $4,000 from her GoFundMe money, and then they did eventually move. The court case happened for the fight and allegedly was dismissed. And yesterday we heard that a warrant had finally been served for the SA claims. So this is Adriel Sigler, aka
Pretty bad. Her amazing parenting skills. This is her live streams.
So fucking rude. I'm live.
Okay.
Oh, I'm cold. I want to eat something. I don't know what. Just clean my kitchen. What's going on? Why? Thank you. Thanks. That one got put away for the dishwasher wrong, so I have to rewash it. That one, keep it on the counter. I'll put it in the dishwasher again. Yeah, it's dirty. Wait, all the dishes are dirty. What's going on? Why? Thank you. That's weird. What was that?
I don't know if I can watch 38 minutes of this. Sorry.
Adriel Sigler lost her mind on a live stream the other day. Number one, because a subscriber wouldn't say hi to her. And then number two, because her kids would not be quiet so that she could be on live stream.
What am I gonna say hello? What's up, Sarah? Nikki, say hi. Jeff, say hi. Jackie, say hey. She's not subscribed. Sarah's not saying hi. Say hi. Who does hi? Ellie does. Who doesn't say hi? Sarah doesn't. I just want to know why on earth anyone would subscribe without saying hi and watch someone for weeks who are subscribed to without saying fucking hi. Say hi. Okay, Sarah doesn't want to say hi. So I'll do both you and I a favor. No, fucking rude, man. My daughter's ruining my night, man. It's so much better. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, dude. I'm so sick of people ruining my happiness. Now, every time, someone's lost something's gained. Listen, thank you for subscribing. There's not a subscriber. Dude, I'm so angry right now. I thought all we could do was one thing. Be quiet. And they couldn't be quiet. And they ruined my night. So angry, you guys. They just be quiet. Why couldn't they just be fucking quiet? I don't understand.
You can tell she's just in a bra. She's like in the Britney Spears, like schoolgirl outfit or whatever. And again, her audience is like teenagers and younger, like 10, 11 years old.
Why tonight? Why the night I'm happiest? And everything is going great. Why couldn't they just be quiet?
I think there's one with her in a... Hold on, let's see if I can find the one that everybody was pissed off about lately with her in a thong.
Dementia, I think he needs to live in a home. And the dad flips out. He's like, I don't need to go to a nursing home. And the son disagrees. But the brother and sister are living in Texas. And the dad lives in Pennsylvania. And they don't think that it's an emergency in this time because...
I literally cannot. That's Adriel's 14-year-old son sitting on shelves at a furniture store. Yes, so Adriel allowed him to climb these shelves at this furniture store. When he first starts doing it, she said, I think you should do that. You should come down now. But he's not listening.
Anyways, this woman's a horrible cunt. I don't know what to say.
I'm telling my mom about this. We could go gyat for gyat. No, fuck that. We could go raise for raise. I'm in New York on TikTok Live, and the at is vegan raise. I'm the green FN of TikTok Live match.
So this is why she has a children audience. Like, this is how she advertises for her live streams. And she's what, like 40?
For gyat. No, fuck that. We could go raise for raise. I'm in New York on TikTok Live, and the at is vegan raise. I'm the green FN of TikTok Live match. Try to battle me, you're gonna lose in a 1v1 or 2v2s. I'm here to play. I've got all day. When I think my co-host is fire, I'll twirl my hair because he's hot. If he's not my type, I'm gonna pull my nose.
Like, there's no adults watching this.
If I friend zone him, I go like this. And if I think a guy who in my chat is cute.
By the way, this is what Scott Rogers was trying to do when he's like, if I put on my Green Power Angel helmet, that means send a huge gift. And if my body sludge is painted across the light switch in my bedroom, that means send a giant gift.
If he sends me a cowgirl hat, I'll go like this. But if I think that a guy who is sending me gifts in my chat is cute, I'll ask him his zodiac sign. Yeah, that's how you know. I'm 33 and I...
Like little girls, little boys watch this. They're like, oh my God, she's here, but she thinks he's cute and maybe they'll get together, and they fucking watch it, right?
I think that I would like a guy between ages 25 and 45 who's taller than 5'10", less than 200 pounds. And I'm battling on TikTok. Let's win. We're in it to win it. Slay. Now click the pink circle.
And then sometimes she's on there shaking her ass in a thong.
So this TikToker goes...
Which is just wild.
Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
You're a Sigler. Who are you? Why have I heard your name like a million times today? I mean, I'm not even...
Everybody knows Austin Foreman.
I've never heard somebody's name so many times in one day. What the hell is going on? I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I have not had time to look into you. Now, from what I do understand, you're not a small creator. You're more popular, so that's another reason I'm okay with doing it this way. So, basically, if you don't know who I am, Adriel, I'm Austin. And the thing is, if I see your name this many times in a day, it's usually not a good thing. And things I've seen that they've said, not good things. So, basically, the gist of this whole thing is, I'm busy as hell, and I'm getting on here real quick to ask you if you would do me a solid and just go on here telling yourself. Unless for some reason everybody else is crazy and there's nothing for me to find, and you can tell me that.
I can't stand y'all.
If I shake...
My skin has always been dark my whole life. And when I am exposed to sunshine, I get even darker. I don't use any tanning products. I don't use any lotions. Day 3, using vegan bronzer. I'm using it earlier than usual today because I have stuff to do. It's 2 days before Christmas, so I need to get tanning out of the way early. It's just my genetics. Okay, come with me to the tanning salon. Let's go. Okay.
God, I hate this one. Anyways.
Against a coffee shop. Everyone shares a story.
She's in a bunch of drama right now because of the stuff she did in front of kids, because of the way she runs GoFundMe, because her son sexually assaulted someone allegedly, because she's just a horrible creator. But it reminds me of that other girl I show you all the time that I'm like, who watches this? Amber Unavailable? Who the fuck? This is the woman that goes and sings songs and shit and tries to get thrown out of stores.
They want you trespass because they think you're scaring customers away.
Okay, because my deceased baby?
Yeah, I guess. I can't remember.
Yeah. I literally just started the live, but I wasn't.
This is her with the cops, and she's already been trespassed.
Sorry. I kind of think it might be. Yeah, it's because of
the baby.
Guys, they thought I had a deceased baby. They thought I had a deceased baby. It's over making me leave. Theo is very much alive.
I mean, like, this would have, like, for me to do something like this, it would have to be gigantic fucking sums of money. I just don't think they're making enough to put this on the internet forever.
Very much alive. I hope you guys know this. He's not deceased. Baby Theo is not deceased. Amber's pants are falling down, falling down, falling down. Amber's pants are falling down, and the police don't like it.
Yeah, if I was making like $100K a month, I would fucking do it. Yeah.
Your pants! Excuse you! Stop laughing at me. Amber's pants.
One day, I realized I was gay, and I was like, no way, okay. I guess that means I need to move to France, so that I can enhance my chance of finding a woman with a beard, cause this is what I feared. But what about my family? They'll think I disappeared. Oh no, I guess I'll be staying where I am.
S is for Subway, foot long in my poo stay. S.
Again, she has a child audience. Like, her average viewer is probably 10 or 11.
S is for Subway, foot long in my poo stay. S. You see this little pink circle? This little pink circle? That means I'm live right now. Come on.
Yeah, you better, if your kids like to watch live streams, they're probably watching some stupid shit like this. If they watch it on TikTok. Or grandkids or whatever.
No. Not exactly.
I want to squeeze your bum tonight. Bum, bum, bum. Sweet
I'm sure some people just think like she's like a homeless crackhead, maybe.
Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. I want to squeeze your bum tonight. Sorry that I'm in my underwear. Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum, bum.
It's time for cartwheels down the aisle. You guys made it 100 followers. That means we're ready to run. You guys ready to run? This is what happens. You guys got 100 new followers. We got to run. Here we go. All the way down this aisle, man. This is gonna be far. This is gonna be far. Nobody look at what's about to happen.
Kids, I'm telling you, it's kids. And then she's talking about sticking footlongs in her pussy. Like, it's kids. It's always kids.
Here we go. Here we go.
Whenever there's like this weird trend on TikTok and you don't fucking understand it, it's kids.
All the way down the aisle. All the way down.
Unbearable.
It's gonna be fun. I'm telling you right now. Here we go. Run for the followers. Save before a strike.
Who, just ask yourself, who thinks that it's the most entertaining thing to watch someone run in a store where they're not supposed to be running because the adults would tell them to stop? It's kids.
Run for the followers. No, my pants, my pants, my pants, my pants. Guys, no, not my pants. Oh, God. Stop it, stop. Sorry. Sorry about that. I hate you guys. I hate you. I hate you.
And she makes them think that she makes the gifters think that they're doing something to her, like they make her run down the aisle or pull her pants down or sing about a foot long in her pussy, and she doesn't want to do that. So it's like this weird interaction she has with these kids where they're like, oh, if I send her this much money, she'll do this thing she doesn't want to do, and then it'll be funny, right? Like I can force her to do something. And kids fucking enjoy that. I mean, like obviously they figured out a formula to make money, but I don't know if it's worth the shit that they're spreading to your children.
She just said, she said it's definitely done.
The only time she ever talks serious to anybody is when the cops show up. And the cops show up pretty often. She gets thrown out of places. And they all have this weird vegan thing, because I think at the time, vegan teacher was fun to hate, and people would go to vegan teacher. Like, I don't think any of them are vegans, but they would go to vegan teachers shit and talk shit to her, and she would have like 1 million viewers just talking shit to her. So they all had, like, you can tell she's wearing a chain that says no meat. They all got this weird vegan kick, and that they just latched onto it at the time. So she put a bra on a man's mannequin. So that, again, kids.
Everyone dive in! Everybody dive in! It's time to go to the pool! Oh my god, it's cold! Oh god! It's hot! We're going to the pool because of all of you! I hope someone will drown, and then I won't have to frown! We're going to the pool! I hate them!
Like, no adult is donating for her to fucking spray water on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's kids. 100% kids. It's always kids. They lost the dare battle. So see how they're all goofy? They're full grown, like 40, 50-year-old adults, and see how they're all goofy and like catering to children? That's how they found the easiest way for them to make money.
Give us a little bit of like, It's so adorable though, Heffa. Why does it look so cute on you? It does not look like that on me. Damn it. Okay. We wear flour, but I do have protein powder. That'd be dope. Right, that works. That works. This is ridiculous.
Let's get it on.
We're gonna be figuring out if this is a good song for our Christmas program. Shall I dance?
I don't know. It's so weird.
Having these award ceremonies.
And she's been banned multiple times for like her live content, but she just makes other accounts, right? And instantly she has all of her followers back, all the donations back. I don't know how much they're making, but I feel like it's not enough for me to fucking get on the internet and act like this.
All hail the pug. Kids don't do drugs. Sweep it under the rug unless you are a thug. I hereby make this Pugmania Day. They will not make another award on the wall. The wall is permanent. Okay? I can wipe off. No! No! Not in the middle of the award ceremony. In the middle of the award ceremony, you're going to come in here with your private jet in the middle of the award. Oh, having these awards.
Pee-pee! I'm on live right now at Old MacDonald's had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. And on the farm they had a worm. E-I-E-I-O. Woo! With a wiggle wiggle here and a wiggle wiggle there. See you soon, my vegan brothers and sisters. Pee-pee!
See what I'm talking about? It's definitely,
Right now.
I don't know. I hope there's like people that are like in charge of this shit, like psychologists and shit, studying this, right? This weird phenomenon where adults are reaching out to kids and making incomes. They don't seem like they're super, like they're not out buying fucking mansions and Ferraris, right? They're probably just paying their bills and have a little bit of extra spending money, but they don't have to go to a job. And doing this to their reputation, doing this in public, putting this on the fucking internet, like, yeah. Like, I remember when I played Little League, I ate a cricket once. That's this type of content. Where we found a cricket and somebody dared me to eat it, and we did it. Everybody thought it was fucking cool. But, like, I'm a goddamn fucking almost 40-year-old man now. That's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm trying to watch other people do. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Anyways, guys, I figured I'd show you some more shit from TikTok. It's a weird phenomenon. I think somebody needs to be studying it or shutting it down. One of the two. Preferably shutting it down. But if we're not going to shut it down, somebody needs to be keeping track of this and how these fucked up kids end up coming out and, I don't know, becoming school shooters or some shit. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Life goes on, I guess. And even if you don't get the outcome you want, the election's over. And it seems like it's time to hope that the guardrails for democracy hold up and make your voices known. Even if you live in a red state, with red representation, if some of this crazy stuff they try to implement it, it's going to take quite an effort to get it to stop. So we'll be on top of it. We'll be covering it. It's not like it's going to be just a normal average presidency. I guarantee it. So thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. I don't know. We hung out for a little bit. I'll try to be back tomorrow. We'll see how that works. I got to get my Patreon back together now that I can get in and out on the one wheel and come and stream. We got to get some Patreon content going, so we'll see. Please consider supporting the show. Or we don't have jobs right now. We barely have a place to live thanks to the flood. So if you can go to coldbeer.fund, if you want to support the show, we'll try to keep it going for as long as I can. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night, guys. See you.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord and head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet.
I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Opened his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted.
Have a good night, guys.
He's happy on his shoulder.